Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and joining me on the panel today we have Gabriel and Paul. We're going to be covering the defensive almost masterclass against Gateshead, and we're going to look forward to the response at Braintree this weekend after I think 3 league losses in a row. As always, love hearing from you. Do join in the conversation, stay connected, share, retweet at me, and all the rest of them, like, shares, and all the rest of it. I love it. And I keep seeing my YouTube subscribers grow up a little bit, which is always nice and feeds my ego. So I love that. Paul, I haven't seen you. You've been on, but I didn't see you last night. I don't think I saw you on Saturday either, did I?
No, I was. We've missed each other, haven't we? So it's no, I wasn't. I was at Oldham. I didn't go last night, but I was watching on the telly last minute. Family diary juggling and all that. But I did get to see the game, but on the computer.
Excellent. And how have you been anyway?
Good. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm good. Yeah.
Good stuff. And Gabriel, saw you briefly while you were working yesterday, going to and from the turnstiles. How have you been?
Yeah. Good. We were quite short on staff yesterday. We only opened 4 gates, 3 home and 1 away. And I missed about 10 or 15 minutes of the starting of the game because of that.
That was all right, a few minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So we are going to jump in. I set you some... It's a late question, but I thought it was a fairly interesting question. It's the Knowing Me, Knowing You segment. And I'll give you a second to think. Gabriel may have gone.
No, it's just the lights, not me.
Knowing me, knowing you. There is nothing we can do. Knowing me, knowing you.
So Gabriel's in his car, so that's dedication, first of all. But the question I asked was, if you could organise a friendly match from any team, past or present, who would it be and why? So open to interpretation, but I've kind of said a team that this current Sutton side will play in a friendly. So Paul, who would you have Sutton play in a friendly, or who would you play in a friendly?
So I think when you asked that question, my thoughts were immediately turned to. I mean, it's childhood heroes, really, isn't it? I think and I grew up watching West Ham in the late 70s, 80s. So the West Ham team of Brooking, Bonds, Devonshire, Lampard, that era, I think, rolling up to Gander Green Lane would get me very excited. I mean, I'll get excited obviously when Maidenhead in town. So when Devo turns up. So. That would be for the team for me, but that's through a misty-eyed childhood lens. But some decent players in there. And I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them on a decent pitch. I reckon Sutton's pitch is better than Upton Park was in the 80s.
A lot of them, yeah. It's easy to look back with his nostalgia and go, "Oh, I thought it was better in the old days." And then you look at some of the videos and go, "What was better exactly?"
Absolutely.
But Gabriel, who would you love to see us play in a friendly?
Well, because I missed that big Arsenal game, that was probably the most spectacular moment, at least in our times, in this millennium, at Gander Green Lane. I would like to see Arsenal play here.
Yeah, good. For me, it would be similar to you, Paul, but it would be the Sutton team from the sort of mid to late 80s, sort of golden period Sutton team to just sort of compare to how things are, and maybe do some of the things of, oh, was it better, not better? But we'll see. I'm sure Joyce would have still.
How do you reckon they'd get on?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be too busy going, oh.
Fanboy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, share your thoughts, give us your answers as well, and tag Sutton Podcast. So, club news. Birmingham tickets were out. I'm not sure they actually announced they were only online, but the article kind of told you how to log in and get them online. But there were some available as well in the club shop. So I know some people were a bit upset about that, but just doesn't matter how you get your ticket, just get it. Hey. But for Gateshead, Gabriel, we'll start with you. Fairly tough challenge. Obviously, the new manager bounced, which was they appointed a new manager like a day or so after I did the interview with their chap. How they're doing well. I mean, how did you think the game would go, Gabriel, and what were your expectations going into it?
Well, given the latest results, I didn't expect us to be dominant, and this is also what I saw at the beginning. They were the dominant team. They controlled the ball much better, and we were after conceding 7 goals in the past two league games. We were more careful with the defense. We were trying to defend with 10 players and to be compact and to concede little, which we did. But this had the adverse effect that we also created little.
True. Paul, what were your thoughts going into the game? What were your expectations?
Nervous. I mean, Gateshead were fourth. They'd scored some goals, haven't they? I think they'd failed to score only twice in open play. One of them was against Forest Green Rovers. They know how to knock the ball about. So I was a little nervous, but I expected a reaction from the Oldham game. That was a poor game, so I thought we'd come out the traps a bit. I expected the usual industry and perhaps without the impact and the usual inconsistency. But that was that. And I guess from the lineup, it was we missing. I thought Simper was out, of course, and Ellison was out, and I was thinking, okay, but a chance for Vaz to play, which was I was interested to see him. So and I guess the big news was Sims in goal, wasn't it? So I was thinking that was probably the change that we needed. So in terms of a goalkeeping perspective, I thought that was the right decision at this time. So mixed, really. I didn't have a Scooby-Doo how it was going to go. Not a Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, you mentioned it was there was personnel with a bit of a change in lineup as well.
Yeah.
Some various comments from different people. It does make me wonder what game we watch, because someone was saying so-and-so's rubbish at right back, and I'm looking going, well, he's not playing at right back, so it's fine. But Gabriel, what did you think of the change lineup and the slightly tweaking formation?
Well, we all know that Steve Arnold offered a gift Saturday against Oldham at their first goal, and it was discussed that he was not so himself lately. So I wasn't surprised about his replacement. Other than this, you cannot say that we have a clear starting 11. All kind of experiments were done, so you have to change when the results are bad.
Yeah, I mean, he did try to counter their sort of their passing and all the rest. It didn't necessarily work, but we did limit their chances. But the first half, I mean, if you watch the highlights, I think the highlights show about 2 events in the first half. But Will had a chance, I think, and it just didn't fall for him. So, I mean, to me, it seemed a bit bitty, not very fluid, a lot of huff and puff, and there wasn't much to get us going or any other players going as well. But Gabriel, how was the first half for you? What anything stood out or not?
To be honest, lately it's a bit of a masochistic experience to watch Sutton. You keep waiting for something to happen, then it doesn't. Look, if we split the field, the football field, as the screen in front of me is split, defensive third, middle, and offensive third, I just feel that we really hate the midfield. We are not able to keep the ball in the midfield, and we are not able to intercept the ball in the midfield, which would give us the chance for countering. If we look at the figures, my hunch is that we have better possession in the offensive third than in the midfield. We're trying to pass over the midfield most times, and we only have two actual midfielders. As I said that also in the previous podcast with you, I feel that we're trying to play 4-4, or actually even 6-0-4. You know, this is my opinion, and this is okay. You cannot say that this is programmed. This is what we want from the start. The opposition teams are pushing us to do that, and also the fact that we don't have actual midfielders besides the Ipswich guy on the pitch. Yeah.
No, fair enough. And Paul, what was your kind of thoughts on the first half? Did it?
I mean,
it might have been different sitting in the nice warm sofa.
yeah, it was lovely. Cracking first half. Cup of tea. So I think it's three elements, isn't there? There's one around Steve's strategies around this. Then there's about getting them across to the players and them understanding it. And then there's the execution. And I get a sense that we've got more than one game plan, obviously, and he's mixing those up. And but I do get a sense that we understand them, and we're trying to we try to knock the ball about. We've got our plan, and the guys know what to do. Although we're still mixing up the formations and team quite a bit, but it's the execution of it, isn't it? And it's through it's the passing, it's the dribbling, and it's the shooting, and there's some good stuff out there, but it is inconsistent and there are mistakes, and I think teams are sniffing that, and they're definitely getting at us and pressing us, which is leading to more mistakes, and we're just losing the ball a lot. And some of that is players being closed down, I think, and so that they're just trying too hard to look for the through ball or looking for the dribble that isn't there, perhaps. So there's a lot of that going on. We gifted away a lot of possession. Gateshead were knocking it around a bit. They kept the ball well and definitely figured us out how to get at us. But we had the better, for all that, actually. They didn't have any shots particularly. In fact, I don't think they had any on the first half. Might have had one in the second half. But and we had a couple. As you say, Davis had one block, and Vaz went wide. So there was against a team who can put the ball in the net, 45 minutes, didn't give them much of a sniff. So I thought if there's one highlight out of that first half, it was defensively, wasn't it? Especially after Oldham.
Yes, absolutely. I think Dan Candemonium actually tweeted that we've not been very good this half. We could be 2 up. So it's like we've been rubbish and we could be 2 up against this side. But Gabriel, how were you sort of feeling at half time? It was 0-0. I personally was reasonably confident. I was like, oh, okay, we'll do this in the second half. We're attacking the right end. We'll get it. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. They didn't create much. They didn't have much chances. The defense was okay. So and we looked like we could do something, though we didn't. We were close into creating some good moments that were missed by little. I was moderately confident. I didn't expect us to lose at that moment, for sure.
Well, very early in the second half, the incident. Now it's way down the other end. Gabriel, I don't know where you were standing yesterday. Paul, you had benefits of replays, I'm guessing. But Gabriel, what did you think of the penalty? Firstly, it took him like 45 minutes to give it. The highlights must have been cut because it didn't seem that long in the highlights, but it seemed like a really long time between the incident and actually giving it. But what were your thoughts, Gabriel? Did you think it was a penalty?
No, I didn't have a good angle to see, but I didn't feel that he extended his arm. I didn't feel that watching the highlights either. I put the highlights on slow motion, and he does move his arm a little bit. But this is National League. It's not Premier League. It's no VAR, and I've seen much more blatant penalties not given in this league than this one. So yeah. In this game, never mind this league.
Paul, what did you see?
Yeah, I thought we were a little unlucky, weren't we? So, as I say, I was in front of the laptop, and the first, as I saw it live, I thought no way. And then, so we saw the replay as they were still discussing it. And when I saw the replay, I thought, oh, we might give that. And there we are. But as Gab said, it's so borderline, and we've seen a lot less. So it was, that was a bit. I thought Finn was really unlucky, but it did hit his arm. But it was. Yeah, it was a bit harsh, wasn't it? So yeah, and I could see why the ref didn't give it because of the angle he was at. And you can see from his angle, or certainly from the replays, that he wouldn't have seen that. But some officious linesmaning,
Well,
gave
he
it, didn't it?
He didn't even flag, I don't think. That's why it was confused because we thought, oh, we got away with that. Or it just looked they were making more of it than it seems, but then it seemed like 5 or 6 of their players kind of jumped up and ran over and started angling and went, oh, actually, it might have
I mean, was he giving himself some thinking time, or was he being, persuaded subconsciously by players running over? Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
it was unlucky, wasn't it?
But how many times did this happen at the other end? I remember Wrexham. I remember, I think York City, or with Boston United at 0-0. How many times we've seen this at the other end not given?
Well, this is what
Just this
Steve
year.
kind of hinted at in his post-match and said, well, hopefully we won't get the 4th apology in a row about from the referee. So yeah, it's obviously something that's playing on their mind a little bit, and he was kind of getting a bit antsy with the 4th and so on. I mean, it did lead to us to have a little bit of pressure at that point. Whether that was the fact that we didn't have to be so cautious because we were already the goal down and we had a bit more freedom, but they did start some pressure. But it was just always that sort of last ball, that final moment. Do you think they're either trying to be too clever, or do you think they're not trying enough? Paul, so what if you were told you're going in to talk to them tomorrow to help them sort this out? Would you be saying, let's go back to basics, boys, or would you be saying, no, keep trying those through balls and keep trying all the tricky stuff?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a football coach, but obviously after a few beers, I am. But
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. For me, it feels like just the execution of it, and I don't know whether it's that. Just trying a little bit too hard. That actually just trying to thread the ball that's not there, or they know that chances have been few and far between, and goals have been so. So yeah, I just wonder whether it's just actually just relax a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But in terms of it feels like I think we've played some good sides. I think Oldham are a decent side, and I think this lot aren't too shabby either. So, and I think we and we did make some chances. So yeah, and then it's just about finishing them, isn't it? But that goes back to that whole, 23-year-olds, young heads. So it'd be, love to have some experienced heads in there, and I think that's a common theme, isn't it, people? And maybe the manager does as well. It's just the opportunity to get them, but just some heads in there to have a word with the lads, or just or actually play that pass that gets them through and to a decent shot on goal. So, but saying that, it's improvement on Saturday.
100%. It could be kind of like what you were saying there is they're thinking too much of what they're supposed to be doing rather than just reacting. They think, oh, hang on, what do I need to do? And in those split seconds, things go. But Gabriel, what do you think? Do you think it is too much, too little, or just not used to the way we want?
Yeah, it's hard to answer to this. What I see is that for this young team, it's a matter of confidence. And when the positive run is there, they do score. And when the bad run is there, they start missing, or not doing the last pass rightly. So now we're in a bad run, and we need to snap out of it as soon as possible, because this is a very close competition, a lot of equilibrium, and you can find yourself in 3 games at the bottom, and we can find yourself in 3 games, especially now at the beginning, in playoff positions.
Yeah. I mean, he did make changes and changed the formation a little bit. Brought on Matt Rush, which seemed to have a bit of an impact, a bit more direct running at people. We had a possible penalty, or if it was against us, it would be a probable penalty. What was your view of that? I think Steve described it as the guy had him round the throat. So, Gabriel, what was your view on that penalty? I think it was Will that it should have been given to.
It's hard to say. Again, you have to have consistency. You can see what scandals happen in Premier League, for the 50-50 calls. He gave one for the guest team. He should have given this one also. If you give the 50-50, give it for both.
Yeah. It's a balanced probability.
Yeah.
Paul, what about you? What was your view on that possible?
Yeah, I agree with Gab. He set the bar, didn't he? So he set the bar with that penalty for them. So that makes it one for us in terms of what happened there. Again, I think it was it was close, but yeah, and I'm sure every fan in the world thinks that their teams are done by. But sometimes, I mean, give us a break.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We discussed this to death last year about you remember all the ones that go against you, you don't necessarily remember the ones that go for you. I mean, there was a couple other bits and pieces, but Jayden had a lovely chance. Now, I know Jayden scored a great goal a few weeks ago where he just absolutely lashed it. And I believe he was told, you've got to just calm yourself down, place it. And he got the ball and calmed himself down and placed it. It's like, lash it, for Christ's sake. What did you think that was an equaliser? That was the moment. And at that point, he's like, we might as well finish now. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it goes back to that decision making again, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Really. So I thought that was a decent chance, wasn't it? And at that point, I think the laptop went.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's bits you didn't see at the end then. So Gabriel,
yeah, I didn't actually.
Yeah. What did you think at that point with Jayden's chance? Did you think that's it, game done?
Yeah, when the pass went towards him, I thought that, but also the pass was a bit slow, but also his finishing. It was on the right foot, not the best position. Maybe he took some time to set the ball, and then he chose to put the shot not at the opposite post. Yeah.
Oh, look how much more generous you are than me. It was a bad pass, a bad wrong foot, too weak, and I'm going, you should have just hit it harder. So at the end, there was, I've said it before, I don't mind this, there was a little bit of handbags. The Gateshead players were goading the Sutton fans behind the goal. They were doing the 2 fingers and crying faces and stuff like that. And several of the Sutton players, I think Charlie Waller was the first, did not like that at all and went charging over. And I don't think there was anything there, but it was a bit of pushing and shoving. And it's like, you know what? Sutton players are coming over to defend the fans. I like that. Then there were some noises that sort of directed towards Steve and some of the players as they were coming off. Do you feel, Gabriel, we'll start with you. Do you feel this is a bit of frustration just boiling over with people because it is a results business? So we're going to discuss Steve's comments, but do you feel this is just frustration boiling over at the moment, or is it a sign of worse thing?
There is the frustration, of course. There weren't many good home games. We are doing a lot of efforts in the social media to attract fans, and then they are here and they watch poor performance. You will not get them. It will be harder after they watch 2-3 bad performances. It will be very hard to bring them back again. Of course there is frustration. You would expect it. We had a good start. Probably also this led to higher expectations. People are still speaking about playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we can do that
Yes, we can.
this year.
Don't worry. Yeah, we can. Wait till Christmas. We'll go on a massive run after Christmas. And Paul, what about yourself? I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the handbags
Oh yeah, I
afterwards,
looked it back. Yeah, I saw there was a lot of noise on the social media, so I looked at it back and stuff. And yeah, I mean, you're professional footballers, and if you can't handle 30, 16-year-olds winding you up, then really, you need another sport. But saying that, there is a difference between banter and just downright abuse. And I don't want to do the guys down. I thought they had I could hear the atmosphere all game, and I don't want to hear them. And they were at the game, I wasn't. So they've made the effort to go there. They were making a great noise at Oldham as well.
I don't think I wasn't at that end at that time, but I don't think there was any abuse other than he's a keeper standing a couple of feet away from us, which is always going to get something.
Yeah,
so I think some of the other people that were in there were saying, well, I didn't hear an awful lot of stuff. Obviously, when players go down injured, and you had it in the last 10 minutes, obviously our pitch is so beautiful and comfy that all the Gateshead players had to have a little nap every now and then just to sort of feel it out properly. And they obviously got the old wanker. So I don't know whether one of them was upset about that. But yeah, it just seemed a bit odd, but I did like the players.
Yeah, I mean, and where is that line? I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? And I'm sure people who understand this behavioural psychology and all that kind of stuff better than me. But where is the line? I don't know. But I know. Maybe it's how close the pitch is, how close the stand is to the. But I know the Oldham game as well. The Oldham guy got wound up, didn't he, after from the abuse he was getting. But yeah,
they absolutely shouldn't show it, because once
they're pros.
They're going to be on them next time. Like that one linesman that I think Dan said something to him, and he turned around. It was like, "Oh, we've got you." That's the first one, but it was on him all game then. Did you guys see Morrison's interview yet, or not?
I saw a snippet.
Okay. Well, he was fuming after the game, because I go and do my little walk around. I don't talk to anyone, but go and do my little walk around and see him come on, and he was absolutely fuming. Did this brilliant interview, came off again fuming. It was like, how did you do that? But what he was basically saying is he knows it's a results-driven business. He knows that we lost the game and we've not won a few. But basically, if we took away the result, everything else that happened in the game, he was quite pleased with. He said that defensively, we've tightened that up. We've kept them. They've only, as you said about the goals from open play, they've only not scored a couple of times, and then they got a penalty which will not be given. So I thought it was actually a really good interview with the. I understand your frustrations. I get why everyone's frustrated. This is what we're trying to do, and this is what we did well. And I was like, that's, again, something you were saying earlier about the plan, the execution. I think letting us know what they're trying is quite an important thing as well, because people won't get on their backs as much if they can see what's going on. But ultimately, it is results business. If you come away from a game that you've been awful and you've won 1-0, you're far more delighted than playing really well and losing a game 1-0. But what's your guys' thoughts on the result as per the execution of the plan?
I mean, it's 8 points out of 24 at home, isn't it? So you've got to keep an eye on that. That's hovering down around the relegation zone form. But I've always thought this was. I was never too fussed about. I didn't in terms of winning everything and getting straight back up there. Actually, you've got to look at the bigger picture, aren't we? If this team did miraculously get up there, I just don't think it's it wouldn't last up there for long. So I know we'd bring some other players in, but it feels like he's on a 3-year contract. Definitely feels like a transition year. Feels like it's going in the right direction. Some really good stuff around the defence last night. It's just it is the consistency factor, and we knew that bringing in academy players and youth players and under 23s and things like that, then that's what you're going to get. And I just think if we are serious about moving up the table a little more, then we do need. What would we have done for a Buttes or an Eastie? I saw Buttes scored.
He did.
For Woking. What we would do for them too in their prime in the in that team or someone like that. And I just So if our game plan is to bring these players on, then we've got to give them a little bit of slack to be brought on.
Exactly. Gonna make mistakes.
So I think there's a lot of positives. Definitely an improvement on Saturday. Decent defensive performance. I'm not sitting here panicking, but or getting too angry about it, because this is what we're going to get all year. I think it's going to be inconsistent, and we're going to win some, lose some. And, that's what you get with that type of player.
Yeah, until obviously the long run after Christmas. Don't forget.
Yeah, of course.
You hear that here first.
Yeah.
Gabriel, what do you think about the kind of the long strategy, or should we be expecting everything now?
Well, I'm not very optimistic at the moment, because I'm bothered about this game plan a bit, with skipping the midfield. I don't know where the strategy came from. From its first not having the good midfielders. You have seen what a difference Charlie Lakin made in spring. We don't have this quality in the present team. But is it because we haven't looked for them, or is it that we play like this because we don't have them? Don't know how to answer to this question yet. But in order to play a better football, we definitely will need midfielders that know what to do with the ball and can control the ball and can take one man out. And yeah.
I mean, someone did mention that the experienced head, getting someone in there, like you mentioned, easily abuse, and then they sort of said, yeah, but you've got to be careful, because you get the experienced head, you might get some of the others' experienced heads that we would all be like, whoa, not that one. It's a real tricky one there. But to finish off the game, what we're going to do is the good, the bad, and the funny. And Paul, you're going to have great ones. You're at home. I mean, it's the whole match day experience, so sitting home on the telly. The lamp was a bit bright, I don't know, but we'll do good, bad, and funny in 2 seconds. Gabriel, what was good for you yesterday? Again, it's the whole match experience. It doesn't have to be on the pitch. But what was good for you?
No, we'll stick to the pitch, and we'll say that the defense was compact, was doing its job properly, and that if you have a solid foundation, you can build on that in the future.
Perfect. Paul?
I'd agree with Gav in terms of the defensive side there. But to pick something different, I would go for. I was wondering about the crowd and whether anyone would be there and would there be much any noise or atmosphere and such like. But actually, it was over 2,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we were making plenty of racket. As I say, I heard it on the laptop all game. So fair play to everyone who went and got behind the lads. You could definitely hear it.
Good. I'm not going to be able to give them any praise for the rest of the season. I did too much early season, so now I'm going to limit how much praise I can give them. What was bad for you, Paul?
What was bad? I think it's giving the ball away too much. I think it's just gifting too much possession is quite frustrating, I think, is what I'd go with.
Okay, Gabriel?
So besides what Paul said already, it's the fact that we are not able to win balls in the opposition half.
Mm-hmm.
Winning that allows you to catch them unbalanced and to score easier. It's much easier to attack against 3 defenders than against 10. That's simple.
I think I can't remember where it was, but someone brought that up earlier about why weren't we pressing the goalkeeper so far out of goal. So it was like, he's actually a really good ball player. So if we go to press him, suddenly we're leaving another player free elsewhere. So he's good at passing the ball. So it may have been a decision to say, well, let's not press that keeper so much, and the defence as well, because they've got the ability to pass it around, and all we're going to do is end up being out of position. I don't know. I'm not saying that is true, but can't remember, someone mentioned it somewhere. But Gabriel, what was funny for you about the day? You
It's
can go
hard.
with the officials if you like. I don't care.
Yeah, but that's not funny at all. I mean, it was funny in the odd sense of the word,
Yeah.
the waiting for the deciding if it's a penalty or not.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently, the referee was driven to the ground by his dad. So that was quite fun. Dad was protecting him. Paul, what was yours?
I have no funny. I like that one. That.
The ref
Can I
was
claim
taking
that?
him. Yeah, if you like. I like it. It was freaky, that told me. Right, excellent. So we're going to look forward to Braintree. Unfortunately, the way this is not working at the moment, so you're not going to hear the interview now, but at least I get 2 listeners of the podcast, so that's good news because we'll have to listen to it to hear the interview. And now I'm delighted to be joined by Stuart for our free Q preview. Some of you may remember Stuart from our very in-depth series of scouting reports that I tried to do for the start of the season. Then Morrison signed about 400 players, so I did abandon it eventually. But thanks a lot, Stuart, for giving up your time. We're doing this ahead of the midweek games. So let's hope there's nothing like the Gateshead situation where they suddenly put a new manager in place. Hopefully not. Can you tell us a little bit, for anyone who didn't listen to the last one, a little bit about yourself and your background as a Braintree fan?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So I obviously follow Braintree. I'm a season ticket holder with the club. Born in Braintree, I'm from Braintree, live here. So really sort of, I suppose, ingrained Braintree person. I've always liked football as a youngster. When I was young, still now, I sort of watch Arsenal, follow Arsenal. Ian Wright being my hero. But I think really what done it for me, I always watched the odd local game over the years, but only really sort of dipped my toe in, went and watched random game, no real planning with it, with some mates or whatever. But when we went through that lockdown period, that for me was like when you really, I suppose, understood the kind of implications that has on your local football team, and where your big sort of elite sides have got all the sort of finances that can cope with those kind of situations, and they get a lot of their income through other means other than the matches. It was really sort of, I suppose, highlight to me that Braintree was just, I suppose, a bit worried, like I suppose many clubs were, what's going to happen. So actually, that kind of, I suppose, got my interest, and also got me thinking, actually, I should be kind of involved in this some way or the other, watching or whatever it might be. So since then, I've just bought a season ticket and just gone, rather than just dipping my toe in. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that. They go, "Oh, it's getting expensive. Let me just go and see. I probably won't like it." And then suddenly it's like, "Whoa, where'd all those years go by?" And I'm spending a lot of money at this place.
No, absolutely. For me, it's more the community thing. I've gone to Premier League games and things over the years. You sit there, you watch the game, and you with whoever you're with, and that's it. But actually, as you go to these games regularly, and certainly before we got promoted, there was no segregation. You just standing where you want to stand. You change up where you want to watch the game every time. Meet different people, get chatting, and learn more history than you ever knew, because there's no real information out there about the club. It's just what people tell you,
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
No, it is great. What I used to love about Sutton is I was as allowed to be as quiet as I wanted. I didn't have to interact with people, but then suddenly you look through your Facebook feed and there's like loads of people that you know through Sutton, and then this happened and there's even more. But what were your hopes and expectations for the season, and how has it matched up so far?
Well, I think if you look at Braintree, the fact we got promoted through the playoff channel, and favourites to get relegated out of the National League, survival is the kind of hope. I suppose hope and expectation we're using the same sort of vein here. So I think. Survival will be great. It's going to be tough. We know it's going to be tough. We sit in 20th at the moment in the table, so we're above relegation. That's after 14 matches. So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
It's managed those expectations, and I think ultimately it's always going to be a tough start for us, having a brand new team, right? So trying to get that cohesion and get that to gelling and playing together, to be where we are after 14 games, after many transfers in and out as we've had already this season. I think we're okay, and we can build on this,
Yeah, and you lost a great goalkeeper as well, but it's,
You did. On your bench, okay? Is he?
he's doing all right. He's biding his time, he says. And it's a third of the season. 14 games is about getting on for a third, so we're good.
Yeah.
That then makes me realise there's not that much left of the season. But anyway, we'll skip that.
No.
What do you see as your side's main strengths and weaknesses at the moment? And are there any players that we should look out for that you guys are like, he's the one, he's the one?
Cool. So weaknesses, I guess, address first is aforementioned. We're a brand new team, all right? So because of that, we've got one player from last season that we retained, as we sit today, that we've retained. So with that comes a huge challenge in getting the squad playing together, the understanding of what the management team want to do and how they want to play, and how they see how the team should work. And I think coupled with we're a small club, we don't have a abundance of finances in the club. So actually even going after the perceived best players is not really an option for us. So it's have to be frugal and trust, I guess, the management, the guys that are scouting the other players. I think there are real weaknesses. But then also, I suppose it also leans into our strengths slightly. So for me, our management team, right? So the fact that we've got Angelo still in charge, he's got a great coaching staff as well. And the fact we've kept that consistency these last sort of 2-3 seasons, I think that actually plays into a strength for us because, you know, the fans are completely behind him. You know, he's had sort of 2 seasons of success winning a trophy each time. So, you know, he's got the total backing of us. Certainly, I think that means he's got the backing of the board as well. He's very ambitious. I think he has a reputation that follows him that I think is growing. And as much as your question there is about players to watch out for, I think he's a manager to watch out for.
Okay.
Well, I'm really impressed, and I think he knows what he's doing when he owns a football coaching business, right? Outside of, I always do, outside of that, outside of managing Braintree. So, you know, he's very hands-on with everything that he does. He's got a good idea and good vision, and you see that coming through the squad. And as I mentioned, a brand new set of players. It takes time for them to get them to gel. Now, we saw this the last 2 seasons as well. We didn't start the strongest, but we started to accrue points, get away up the table. And I think absolutely he and his coaching staff will be a strength for us. And what he tends to do is sign the right players at the right time. So we'll get a foundation that we're starting to see. You know, we've conceded less goals than Sutton, by the way, right? So, you know, like in that respect, I'm not going to talk about the
That's
goals.
not a boast, I'm going to be honest. I think most people have.
But, you know, he'll get that defensive structure, the defensive unit playing well. It's taken a bit of time. We've had a few ins and outs. We had Joe Grimwood come back to us from Barnet on loan, but they recalled him because he was doing brilliantly. So, you know, back to the drawing board again. But he's actually got the players that we've got playing really well as a unit. I thought what we're lacking is goals, really. We're not really losing games by loads of goals. You know, it's driven by the odd one, and usually that comes down to a lack of kind of concentration or a mistake in the game. You know, these moments that they get punished for. But what we're definitely seeing now, the last sort of 3 games or so, is the players are putting in a lot of effort, right? So I think it's taken them a bit of time to understand what Angelo's expectations are of them. But now we're really seeing the kind of effort they're putting in, whether they've won recent games 1-0 or they've lost 2-1 in the last game. It wasn't through lack of trying or hard work or effort. Once you see that, and once you've got that in your team, you will get the results. You know, we're in a league. It's going to be tough. There's brilliant teams in this league, right? And we're the kind of newcomers, if you like, now to it. And some of our players are playing or have come from the division below, you know, so we're kind of having to really kind of grind it out sometimes. But I think that will be a strength of ours. We know how we plan. We have 2 big strikers up front, right? And we don't tend to use them both at the same time. And I haven't seen another team yet with the kind of sort of frame of these guys, right? So I think that makes you kind of think, well, we're going to try to knock it up, hold the ball up a bit, you know, long ball here or there, rely on crosses and corners, right? So you can kind of see we're not necessarily going to get the ball down and play it the way that we've been used to the last couple of seasons. So it seems like a slight philosophy change, but you can see trying different things at the beginning of the season every time. And we're starting to now settle into our rhythm. So I think fundamentally those kind of areas for me are almost weaknesses become strengths, you know, the transitioning.
Excellent.
Sorry, you said about players to watch.
Yeah.
Forgot about that bit. We've recently made a sign-in, or a loan sign, I should say, Jermaine Francis, who was for last season. I think he's Barnet now. And actually, him coming into the side has given us a bit of an edge that we didn't have. I think he's got a lot of pace. He runs forward. He's always looking to get in the box, or he plays out wide and stretches the play. Wins a few penalties, which is really handy, you know, which has helped us so far. And I saw him at Chelmsford. I watched him a couple of times last season, so I was quite excited when we got him, you know. So I think making a difference to us. And we've got Kyrell Lisby playing for us as well. And, he's a young lad who's got a lot of energy, not frightened to try things. I think, he's got that, sort of, or doesn't have that issue. We've got, no fear. So he'll try the odd pass, or we'll kind of run at players where some of the kind of more seasoned kind of the players
Yeah.
kind of less inclined to. So I think those two guys, as long as they can find a bit of consistency and sort of stay with us a bit longer than some others, then I think that will help us out. So them are two.
Perfect. And what kind of game do you think it's going to be against Sutton? I mean, you mentioned your defence is relatively strong, your attack is relatively weak, and we would probably switch that around. So it could be a lovely ball draw, or it could be a free flowing loads and loads of goals. But how do you see it going? What do you think could influence it?
So I would fully expect that we will be finding it tough. We're going to have to dig in and really kind of retain our shape, structure, and our focus on what our game plan is. Because I think ultimately, you've got 23 goals, but you've conceded 23, right? We've scored 9. Yeah. But we've conceded, I think it's 15 or 13 or something. So, we're not we're not scored enough, essentially. So I don't think we're going to get an abundance of goals, even though you would suggest that obviously haven't conceded fewer than us, and we've got the home advantage in a way. I think we'll find it tough. I think we've seen teams come here already, which there's been quite a close game, but not a close game for the fact there's been loads of chances. I think we'll almost limit your chances.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll create enough of our own chances. And because of that, you'll start to kind of push forward, put the pressure on, right, and see that kind of the game might be there for the taking, and we may nick a goal that way. That seems to be how it's happened so far.
Okay.
So I think the first half kind of, not a lot happening, right? I think it'll be trying to feel each other out, and that's where we'll then start to see the chances, I think, in the second half. And my prediction for the score is going to be a 1-1 draw.
1-1. Okay, that was the next bonus question.
But I
But
think it's going to be a 0-0. I think it's going to be a 1-1. We don't tend to score much more than that. We'd be lucky to get 2 goals, but I think we'll be able to, as long as we concentrate enough, we've got the players available, we'll be able to sort of hold our own at the back enough. There'll be kind of 1 goal that'll probably go in because you've scored 23 goals, right? So you know how to find the net. So we're not naive in that respect, but I think we'll be able to get a 1-0, and I think we'll end up conceding first, and we'll get that way around.
okay, fair enough. Well, Morrison doesn't draw many games, I'll be honest. I think it might only be 3, and is almost coming up a year. And one of them was ridiculous at Milton Keynes, and the other one was the other day 0-0. So, or the other week, sorry. So we'll never know. But looking forward to it. Thanks very much for your time and your insights, and good luck for obviously most of the season. Not all of it, most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Yeah,
No
thanks
worries.
for
Thank you.
Good to speak to you.
But what are you guys expecting from Braintree? I've already said a reaction, but Gabriel, what are you expecting on Saturday against Braintree?
To turn around this bad run of form, it's quite needed, and luck should play a little bit of a part also, because it's been against us lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul, what do you reckon? What do you think? Because they're struggling at the moment.
They're one of the weaker teams, aren't they? So I have high hopes here. I don't think we are one of the weaker teams at all. So I think I have high hopes. But as I said, we've talked about it all haven't we, at the inconsistency now. I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously I am podcast prediction champion. I don't like to shout about it, but I've got I've got none right this year, and who knows what team will turn up, and who knows. It's there's not inconsistency between games; it's inconsistency in games. Yeah. So who knows who'll turn up? But I think I do fancy our chances of getting something.
Someone said that to me last night at the game. It's like it's not being inconsistent overall; it's being inconsistent within the games. You've just used almost the exact same words. Quite funny. Right, you segued me nicely into the prediction league. So thank you for that. So first of all, congratulations to Stuart, who is now the 4th member of the Maximum Club, because he predicted a 1-0 loss with no goal scorer. So he's the 4th person to get the full maximum points. Paul, early prediction, obviously the same rules apply. You can change it later on. But what's your early prediction for Saturday?
I'm going to go for a cheeky 1-0 win.
Okay, lovely. Gabriel, what's your prediction?
Well, I noticed that every time I say 1-1, it goes this way. So I'm going to say 1-1.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm going to go with a big reaction, and I'm going to go 4-1. So I'm going to go nice big reaction. Probably going to lose a goal early and then get it back.
I'm assuming you mean 1-4, Mike.
1-4, yeah. Oh God, no, yeah. 1-4. Gents, thank you very, very much. We're going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention. Love that for Joe. Get involved in the Knowing Me, Knowing You segment. Which team would you love to see us play in a friendly match throughout history? Brazil 1970, that would be also nice. Like my own little game of beef for this. But yeah, do follow, like, and share this episode of Sutton Podcast on social media. Tag us in at Sutton Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and all the rest of it on your preferred platforms. Leave us a review and the little thumbs up on YouTube. There's my thumbs. And we are back on Sunday with Mark and Joe. And we'll be talking about the Braintree match, and we'll be looking forward to the Birmingham match, because I'm allowed to mention it. Whether the players are or not, I don't care. So, as always, thank you to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Big thank you to the two of you today, Gabriel and Paul. And
Pleasure.
Thanks to the listeners. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Take care and goodbye.
United! United! United!